So hope you are able to hear me, right? Hello. Are you people able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So let's start. So in the last class, I've introduced you people to Spring framework. As I told you people, Spring is basically an open source framework which is used for developing enterprise applications. Not only enterprise, standalone and web applications, almost any type of application I can say. So even we saw how to use this STS to create a Spring project here, a basic Spring application I can say using this STS. So we saw how a bean looks like. So what a bean means. Now today I'll just demonstrate dependency injection first of all. Um, for that let's take this example service bean which you got. Now in this example service bean, it got a method called as hello world. Sorry, get message. In this example service bean, we got a method called as get message. So this in this method as of now, this message is hard coded, right? This hello world message is hard coded. Let's say I want to fetch this message from the backend. Let's say we have it somewhere else in the database. Let's say just using that we got this message in the database. So what you'll do in that case? Uh, let's say this DO, sorry, this service class which you got here, it won't interact with the database directly. So this is where again we'll make use of DO or a repository. Let's use a DO here. I'm going to do one thing. I'll just define a class called as message DO. Okay. Yes. Define a class called as message DO. And what is the responsibility of this class? It will help the example service bean to fetch the record from the database, let's say. That message, in order to fetch the message from the database, example service bean will help, let's say. As of now, this example service is just a, sorry, message DO is just a normal Java class. It's just a normal Java class. I would like to make it a Spring Bean. So how can we make this class a Spring Bean so that your container will manage the life cycle of this bean class? Yeah, how to make it a Spring Bean? In the last class, you saw an annotation for that. Component annotation. Yes, that's right. You have to annotate this class with @component annotation to make it a Spring Bean. Use component annotation here. Okay, component annotation. Now I'll add a method in this class which returns a string value. Let's say this method name is fetch message from DB or fetch DB message, whatever. Yeah. This method, when it is invoked, it simply returns a message from the database, let's say, just as it. Okay. So DB message, let's say welcome to Spring Framework. Yeah. Let's say this message DO, it uses JDBC, okay? JDBC API, message DO is using JDBC API, let's say, to interact with the database server. Now we got this message DO bean. It's a Spring Bean. That means, I can say it's a privileged bean because its lifecycle is managed by the Spring framework. And if this bean requires any dependencies, they will be provided by the container itself. The container itself will be responsible for providing this Spring Beans. Yes. You know, here this message DO, as I told you people, will be used by this example service. Okay. Yeah. In this example service here, I want to use that message DO. So if you want to use that message DO in the example service, first of all, you need to declare that reference variable of type message DO here, right? You need to declare a reference variable of type message DO class. Yes, this is what you'll do. And then you will use that reference to call that method fetch db message. Let's say that fetch db message interacts with the database server to fetch the message from the database server. Okay. Now, message DO is helping example service to interact with the database server. So what is message DO for this example service? What is message DO for example service here? What do you people think? It's a dependency. Very good. I can say message DO is a dependency. Okay. If you people can recollect, in the last class I was talking about something called as dependency. So dependency is an object which is needed for another object which helps another object to accomplish a task or a goal. Dependency means it is an object which is needed for another object to accomplish a task or a goal, I can say. Yes, dependency means is an object which is needed for another object to accomplish the task or the goal. That is a dependency. So now here in this case also, message to you is a dependency which helps the example service. How it is helping an example service here? You see, it helps that example service bean to interact with the database server. It helps the example service bean to interact with the database server, I can say. So because it's a dependency, in Spring Framework, we got a special service provided by the container. What is it? Dependency injection. Now this bean example service, it need not explicitly acquire this example service bean. It need not explicitly acquire the dependency. I can say that here, this bean, it need not explicitly acquire the dependency. The container can supply or provide the dependency needed for this bean. Yes. So now this bean example service can ask the container to provide that dependency which is needed for this bean. How it will ask the container to provide the dependency which is needed for this bean? You see, using the annotation @autowired just on top of this bean, on top of this property. So this property, now it represents the dependency, right? Just on top of this property, you add this annotation @autowired. You add this annotation @autowired. This autowired annotation on top of this property, it indicates that you know we want the container, or this bean wants the container to supply that dependency which is of type message to you. Okay, yes, that is what it indicates. Okay, so see, we don't have to write the code required that message to you and all here. Yes, this bean, you see, the example service bean, you need not worry about writing the code, or it need not worry about acquiring the dependency. Yes, okay, fine. It's not the responsibility of this example service now. Yes, to get that bean or dependency. We're done. So now let's go back to this main class where we have written the code to load the container. You see, this statement where we are instantiating this class called as class path XML application context. You see, it implements that application context interface. Application context is an interface here. So by instantiating the class, basically we are trying to load the container. Okay. Yes. So this application context here, it represents that container itself, I can say. This application context is the handle for your container. Application context, I can say basically, it is a handle for your container. Yes. It's a handle for your container, I can say. So using this application context reference, you can access your container. You can interact with the container. Yes. Application context means it represents this container where we have a set of managed beans in it. Yes. Okay. Now, how do we ask the container to provide a particular bean reference? What you will do? How will you ask the container to provide the bean reference? Let's say I want a particular bean reference. So how do we ask the container to provide the bean reference? Yes. In the application context, we got a method called as getBean. You see, application context dot getBean, and what we are doing, we are providing that class name here. Yes. So this is how we ask the container to supply, so to provide the dependency bean. Okay. Yes. Now here, once we get this bean reference, we are calling that method get message. If everything goes fine, if everything goes fine, and if the container injects the dependency, that message DO, which is the dependency, then you see, we should not have, we should be able to execute this code successfully. For suppose, if there is any issue, if the container fails to inject the dependency, then you'll get an error. Yes, you'll get null pointer exception because this message DO will be null. Message DO is going to be null. Yes. Okay. So let's run this code. Yeah, you see, we got this result. So the container is injecting the dependency. So this is one of the service provided by the container, as I told you people. So here, you see, this example service bean, now you can understand the power of Spring Bean here, Spring Container and Spring Framework. This example service bean is just a normal Java bean. I mean, I can say it's a POJO, plain old Java object class. It's a plain old Java object. You'll find that we are not implementing any, this class is not implementing any interfaces specific to the framework or extending any classes specific to the framework. Okay, yes. And this bean is able to avail the services of the Spring container. Okay, just a normal Java object is also able to avail the services of the Spring container. That is what you need to understand, an important point here. Okay, so now this object is a privileged object. Yes, we not manage its dependencies. So there is an advantage for dependency injection concept. What is it? Now you see, this example service bean, it can just concentrate on its responsibility. Let's say this, in this example service bean, you got some functionality business logic. So it can just rather concentrate on executing that business logic. So it need not worry about the dependencies. And the developers also who are developing these beans, you see, now they don't have to worry about managing this dependencies needed for this bean because framework will take care of it. So the development is simplified, right? Developing this beans is greatly simplified because as a developer we don't need to worry about managing the dependencies and all. Yes. Moreover, I said there is another advantage for dependency injection. What is it? The beans will be loosely coupled here. You can make the beans which are loosely coupled. Yes. Okay. Now we have these two beans, right? So message DO is a dependency. It's a dependency bean. What about example service? What we call it as the example service is a dependent bean. Okay. Here, example service and message DO. If you take these two beans, example service is a dependent bean, whereas message DO is a dependency. Okay, it's a dependency. So you know what? Here, with the help of dependency injection, we can make the beans loosely coupled. As of now, can I say that these two beans are loosely coupled? At first place, what do we mean by loosely coupled beans? Yes, when I say loosely coupled beans, what does that means?
Changing in one bean doesn't affect the other bean.
Yeah, change in the dependency bean won't affect the dependent bean. Okay, yes. And also we can describe it in other ways also. Loosely coupled beans means the change in the dependency should not affect the dependent bean. Okay, yes. As of now, these two beans, can I say that they are loosely coupled here? Can I say that these two beans are loosely coupled? Yes. How many of you people say yes? Yes, say yes, yes or no. No. Okay, I got another answer. No. Actually, in this case, I can say that these two beans are not loosely coupled. Yes, these two beans are not loosely coupled here. Why so? Let's take a requirement. Now, let's say here we have to, sorry, let's say here, now initially, yes, we are using this message DO. Let's say internally it uses JDBC. Internally it uses JDBC. Now, your clients, they want you people to use Hibernate framework to interact with the database server rather than using JDBC. Or let's say that the message has to be fetched from a different source. As of now, we are fetching it from the database server. It has to be fetched from a different source, let's say, from a REST service, let's say, from a web service. So in that case, what you will do, okay, first of all, what you will do, yes, this is your requirement. Now you have to write, uh, sorry, you see, you have to fetch the message from a different source, let's say from a web service. Just imagine. So what you will do in that case, you see, this bean which is existing here, the DO which is existing, you won't touch this DO. Okay. So what you will do here, let's say we have some other data source from where we have to fetch the message. Let's say from another source. In that case, first of all, you have to define another bean class. Okay. So let's take this requirement. Just all of you listen to me carefully. Now let's just keep this service aside. Now let's say you're using JDBC to interact with the database server. Now you have to use Hibernate to interact with the database server and fetch a message from a different data source. So what you will do? So in that case, first of all, you will define another DO class, something like this, message to your heap, right? Yes, you have to do this. And you see, in this class, let's say we'll define a method which returns a string message, say get message, something like this, or fetch message. Now, let's say this method, it uses Hibernate framework. Let's say we got a DB message which is fetched using Hibernate framework. Message to your heap using Hibernate. Okay, now I'll make it a bean, a rate component. Now we have this new bean. So we have to make this example service to use this new bean. We have to make the example service to use this new bean message to your heap. So you see, now we have a different dependency. There is a change in the dependency. There is a change in the dependency. What you will do in this case? Now we have to change this example service also, right? Now we have to change this code. So what you will do? We have, yes, we have to first declare a reference variable of type message to your heap here, and also you see in this get message method, I'll call that DO's message to your heap method fetch message. So, I mean, you have to completely revamp this example service, okay, which is not a good idea. Now you see, change in the dependency, it has affected the dependent bean. Change in the dependency is affecting the dependent bean here. So I can't say that these two beans are loosely coupled. I can say they are tightly coupled. But I said with dependency injection, we can develop the beans which are loosely coupled. I said with dependency injection, we can develop the beans which are loosely coupled, right? But here we have two beans which are tightly coupled. So this is what happens. So don't develop the beans this way. And what to do? I'll tell you. Dependency injection alone is not enough. along with dependency injection. Okay, dependency injection plus interface will help you to develop the beans which are loosely coupled. Okay, okay, dependency injection plus interface will help you to develop the beans which are loosely coupled. Yes. How can we do that? Let's see. I'll take another example. Okay. So this example is very silly. Let's take a more realistic example. Yes, let me just do that. Just a second, please. So here, let's say we have a requirement. What is it? A small order processing flow we have to implement it. Let's try to implement this order processing. So in order processing, let's say you'll have a product service component, and you'll have a product DO, a product service, a product DO, a product, and order order beans, and you'll have a in memory. Let's say we have a product repository, which is a dump in memory DB. Sorry, in memory, yeah, DB to store some product details. Yes. So this is the example we'll try to implement now. Okay. So in the order processing, what you will do, the responsibility of the product service, responsibility of product service being is to process the order by verifying the ordered quantity with the available quantity in the repository, so in the warehouse, let's say. Okay, product service is to process the order by verifying the order quantity with the available quantity in the warehouse. So that is what it does. Okay, if there is sufficient quantity, then the order should be accepted. Okay, else it should be rejected. That is what this product service is supposed to do. Next, product DO. The responsibility of the product DO here, it helps, or I can say product repository, whatever it is, both the same. Product repository should helps product service to fetch the product details for which the order is placed. Okay. Uh, So product repository helps product service to fetch, sorry, here I have to change this name, product DB store, let's say. The product repository helps product service to fetch the product details from the DB store for which order is placed. Okay, product details from the DB store for which the product order is placed. Next, order product and order beans are POJOs which holds product and order details respectively. It holds product details and order details respectively. Yes. So for order processing, these are the various beans which are involved. Now you understood this, right? Yeah. Now, so from where shall we start? First of all, I'll add product and order beans. Okay, I have them. You know how to create this normal Java beans, right? So I don't have to start from the beginning now. So just I'll create a package called as VO. We also call as value objects because they just hold data. Now let's check this product class once. So it's just a Java bean. That's it, nothing more than that. You see here in this product class, you have ID, product ID, name, quantity is there. Okay, yes. So earlier in our product class, we used to have description, but we have quantity. That means the available quantity in the warehouse. This quantity, it is the available quantity in the warehouse. How much quantity you have? That quantity is specified here by this quantity property, and the price of that product. You got those details in the product class. So the product object will have these details: ID, name, quantity, and price. Next, we got order class, which represents an order. So in the order class, you see, we'll have this properties: order ID, order product ID for which the order is placed, for which product the order is placed, and the order quantity. Okay, so the order quantity, how much the customer wants. Yes, how many products of that particular type the customer is requesting for. You have those details here. Yes. So these are just POJOs, just to transmit the data or transfer data from one component to another component to hold the data. We use this beans. That's it. They hold the data. Yes. Next, let's see our repository. Product DB store, where it is. I guess in this product we don't have it. Just a minute. Just a second, please. Okay, now I will just create another package. So we'll call it as DB source, database source, where we have this bean class where we'll have this class here called as product DB store. Just check this. What we have here. You see, as I told you, people, it's just a dumb DB store for us where we have this product details. Okay, list of product details. You see, we got this DB store. You see, we'll have this property list which holds the list of products. Okay, which are available and basically for which the orders can be placed. Okay, yes. So we have altogether 4 products. Yeah. So this is your database. Let's say, just assume that. Imagine that this is your database. If you can go through the constructor, in the constructor, yeah. So the quantity is the third parameter. So that means in the order you see we have ID, name, sorry, name, quantity, and then price for your just for your clarity purpose. Okay. So this is our data source database. Let's say. So later on, don't worry, I'll show you database also. But right now, in the second example itself, it's difficult for us to understand how to interact with the database server. Okay. So now this products property will have that list of product objects. Okay. So just assume that this is your database where you have your product details stored. Yeah. So far, whatever I explained, is it clear for you people? I hope you don't have any confusion here, right? Can I have yes, please? So we have a product class, a product DB store, just a in-memory dumb data source where we have that product details stored. So anyone got any questions? Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So now the next thing what we'll do is here. So we'll try to add a repository bean. So repositories are also nothing but your DOs itself to interact with the database. Okay, you can think of them as the DOs. So which are the beans which are responsible to interact with the database server. Okay, yeah, repository. I'm creating a package called a repository, and here in this package, first, as I told you people, what is the responsibility of the repository? You can check this. It helps the product service to fetch the product details from DB store for which the order is placed. So to fetch the product details from the DB store, see, you'll find that it's a dependency which is needed for that product service. Okay, first I'll show you the interface. I'm introducing interface here now. Let's do that. So what it does, You see, this is the contract. This interface now it defines the contract for our repository bean. So what methods the repository bean should contain. So we just got one requirement here. You see, in this repository bean, you'll have a method fetch product by ID to fetch the product details based on that ID. Okay, so it will take product. This method will take product ID and will return the product object associated with that product. Yes, it returns the product object associated to that product. Yes, I will add one more method actually. Okay, I'll add one more method. That method will update the product object. Let's say why we need to update the product object. Let's implement this logic. You see, the product service, if it finds that the order can be processed successfully, okay, if the orders can be processed successfully, in that case, I want to update that quantity, product quantity. Yes, when the order is accepted successfully, I want to update that order quantity also. I mean, the quantity should be deducted, right? Yes, from that warehouse. So for that, I will add a method. Let's add a method here. Uh, let's say this method returns a boolean value. Update product quantity. Let's say yes. It will take the product ID and the quantity to be updated here. Okay. So which product's quantity has to be updated? That product ID will be passed, and also how much quantity it has to be deducted. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now we have to implement this methods here. We need to implement these methods. Let's try to implement these methods here. Yes. For that, we have an implementation class. Already I've implemented it. So let me just use this one. Okay, don't worry. So first, what it does, let's assume that here this product repository it uses JDBC to interact with the database, so the dumb database. Okay, you see now for the product repository, it needs that product DB store. The product repository here, it needs DB store, right, where you have that data. So now it takes that product ID as input, and you see it gets that list of product objects. We have a product object list, right, which contains the product details. From that product objects list, we are trying to search for that product with that ID. You see, you'll find that once it finds that product object in that list, simply it returns that product object here. Simply it returns that product object. That is what it does. So it's just searching for that product object in the list. If it finds it, it returns it. Else it returns null here. If it finds it, it returns that product object. Else it returns null. That is what it does. Okay. Yeah. Next, I will add one more method. What is it? Oh, to update the product quantity. You see, we have to update the product quantity. Let's say if the order is placed successfully. Okay. Let's say in the warehouse, the product quantity is 40. Let's say there are 40 products of this type. And order quantity is 20. Now, if the order is placed accepted successfully by the product service, then it has to deduct that quantity, right? It has to deduct the quantity. Now the available product quantity should be 40 minus 20. Yes. Let's say if the available product quantity is 40 and ordered quantity is 20 and this order is placed successfully, so the available quantity should be 20 now. Okay. So if the available quantity is 50, then the that available quantity should be 30. Yeah, 50 minus 30. Available quantity minus 20. 50 minus 20 in that case. Okay. Yes. So this is a logic which we need to write here, where in this update product method. Okay. Yes. Now what you will do, first of all, you will take that product ID. Yes. You tell me how to write this logic. Can someone explain this code? Can someone explain this code? You see, the products are in that list, right? What to do? What do people think? Okay, let me write it. Don't take that risk. So first of all, I'll get that list here again. So first we need to fetch that list, and or else I can do this in shortcut. When you call this get products, it returns that list, and from that list here, I would like to fetch the. Okay, just a second. Get that list, and we need to iterate through that list. Actually, we can. This code is redundant. We can avoid it. Okay, yeah. If you found that item, now you read that. You said you have to read that quantity. Get quantity. Okay, int new quantity equal to minus that quantity. Yes, ordered quantity. Reduce it. Okay. Yes. From the available quantity, remove this ordered quantity. Deduct this ordered quantity. Yes. And then you can update that product here. Product dot set quantity, new quantity. That's it. And then you can return true here. If you return true, that means, let's say, that quantity is updated successfully. If the product is found, then only we'll update it. Else, false will be written. So just check this code, all of you. Is it clear? Okay. That ordered quantity will deduct it from the available quantity. So it will be checked over there in the product service itself. That is a logic which will implement in the product service. That is business logic now. So it will be implemented over there. Just updating the products here, quantity and all such things which is related to database, you'll do it here. It's just a repository, no? Yes. Okay. By the way, who logged in with this name? Satya. Okay. Saujanya Jerry. Okay, fine. Ah, got you. It's your husband ID, right? Yeah. Okay, fine. So we are not writing any business logic here. Okay, that is what you need to understand. That's the reason why I took this example. So just updating that quantity, you'll write it here. Yes. Okay. So hope everyone got it. Now let's assume that this product here is using JDBC. And have you noticed it? This product repository, it implements that interface, iProduct repository. It implements that iProduct repository here. Okay. Yes. Fine. That interface. Okay. Now our final class, that is your service class, you know, which is the most privileged class I can say. Yeah, even for service class, okay, I'll do one thing. First, I'll define a package here. I'll call it as service. I have two classes, an interface and an implementation class here. I'll add both. First, I'll show you the product service interface. So this interface here, it will define the contract for that product service class. Once again, let's quickly review what the product service is supposed to do. Yeah, just go through it. Just a minute, please. Give me 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. I'm back. So now we got this product service. You'll find that it's responsible for taking the product order details, that product ID. It takes that order details and it will accordingly verify that the order will check for that order quantity and all of whether if it is available or not. If so, it considers that the order is placed. Okay. Yes. And we can extend this example further. But as of now, just we'll confine ourselves. You see what it does in this product service. You'll have an interface. Sorry, you'll have a method process order which takes order details. It has to take those order details. Okay. Yeah. So just a second, please. Okay. So requested quantity, the property name is different. Now you check this product service first of all. Here, all of you, I need your attention now. Yeah. See what I'm showing you people here. First of all, product service class also implements that interface. You know, having interfaces is very important. Okay. So make a habit of it. You define the classes by implementing some interfaces. Yeah. So interface will be defining the contract for the class. So before we define any class, first define an interface. Okay. And you can specify the contract for that class, what methods the class is supposed to implement. Yes. Now you see in this interface for iProduct service, we have this method, which means the process order method should be implemented by the service class, product service class. Now you see the product service needs that product repository. The dependency is product repository, right? Yes. So this is very important. What I did actually, we can declare this property type as product repository class type. The property type can be product repository class type. Okay. We can use product repository class type, but I'm not using product repository class type here. Yes. What we are doing instead, we are using interface type. So this is the first point. Okay. Very important point to understand. So this interface reference variable, it helps us to decouple these two beans, the product service and its dependency beans. It helps us to decouple these two beans here. Yes. So that means the product service is not aware of that implementation class details. Okay. It's not aware of that implementation class details here. Yes. So which implementation bean, which implementation class bean will be injected here, it will be decided at runtime. Okay. It will be decided at runtime, I can say. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now in this reference variable of type interface, which class object references can be stored? We can store which class object references here. Yes, into this reference variable of type interface, which class object references can be stored? Any class which implements this interface. Any class which implements this interface. Okay, that class object references here can be stored into this interface reference variable, right? Yes. So interface reference variable is more generic type, right? Yes. So now you see we have written the code to fetch the product details with help of the product repository. So we got this order object as input. From the order object, you'll read the product ID. So in the order object, you have the product ID, right, for which the order is placed. So you'll read that product based on the ID with the help of product repository. You'll fetch that product ID, product object, and then you see you're reading the requested quantity from the order object. You're checking the customer has placed the request here, right? So how much quantity the customer is expecting, ordered quantity, requested quantity. If it is less than the available quantity in the warehouse, you see that logic we have written it here. It should be less than the available quantity. If so, then only you see you'll find that uh, this service will consider that the order can be processed successfully here. Okay. Yes. And the other thing is it has to update that product quantity, available quantity, in the DB store, right? How it does that? How it will do that? Yes. We have a method for that in the product repository, right? What is it? Update product quantity. Yes. Call this method. So product repository dot update product quantity. So that product ID we have to pass it. So product dot, sorry. Oh, we got the product ID, right? Yeah. So product dot get ID and that quantity ordered dot get order requested quantity, you send it. Yes. And this method, it returns a boolean value, you know that. Okay. You get a result. It returns a boolean value. See, if result, if it is true, if it is able to update it, then we'll print a message. Order is processed successfully. Okay. Yes. And return true. Else will return false. Yeah, that's it. So this is the logic which you got in that product service order process order method. Okay. Yes. Now I can say that the product service and its dependency product repository, they both are loosely coupled. Yeah. Okay. They both are loosely coupled here. That is what I can say. Yes. Let's try to test this code. So is this clear for you people, all of you, what we did here? Yes. So let me just test this code. First of all, we need to load the container. That is what we'll do. Then we'll get the bean, which bean? Product service bean. Sorry. And then we'll create an order object. Okay. With the order ID. I have to check the product IDs once. What are the available products? Yeah, the product IDs which are available are from 101 to 104. Okay. From 101 to 104. So I'll place it for 102. What is the quantity available here? See, this quantity is 100. Now I'll place request for 200 quantity. Sorry, product ID, order ID. I'm sorry. First of all, order ID will be there. I'm sorry. Then your product ID 102. Let's say the available quantity is 100. I'll place the request for 200. Okay. The last parameter is that ordered quantity, which is 200. The available quantity is only 100. Okay. Available quantity is only 100. Yes. Okay. Now let's call this method process order, which will process that request. You see, there are some dependencies in between, so which will be taken care by the container. Let's run this code. See, you got a message which prints order cannot be processed because the requested quantity is more than the available quantity, right? the requested quantity is more than the available quantity. Yes. So let me just place the order for only 50 numbers. Okay, now we'll run this code. It says order is processed successfully. Okay, so now these two beans are loosely coupled, I can say. Okay, first of all, this process which we have implemented here, is it clear? Yes, all of you, is it clear? Can I have yes, please, if it is clear for you people?
Sir, this concept of loose coupling can be done even without Spring Framework, right? In normal Java applications too, right? With the help of interfaces.
Uh, yeah, but the container and all, they're not available. So the thing is, supplying the dependencies and all, you have to take care of it. We use factory patterns and also that process over there. So it will be a lengthy process.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but yes, of course, interfaces are used. So that's the reason why right from the beginning I'm asking you people to use interfaces. So now the thing is here, for suppose all of you, just check this. Let's say I will instantiate this product service class directly. So if I run this code, what will be the output? Yes. So what will be the output? Should be same. Okay. So what about others? What do you people think? The output, is it going to be same? Okay. This is what you need to understand now. Yeah. I'm creating this product object directly. Will there be an issue? Or will it work fine? What happens in this case? You explain it. Yes. So what Rama said is right. Not the first answer, the second one. It won't work actually. There will be an issue. Why? This time we are creating the product object directly. This time we are creating the product object directly. So if you are creating the product object directly, the container will not be responsible for managing this product bean. In fact, you cannot call it as a Spring Bean now because it is not managed with a Spring container anymore, right? Yes. It's not managed by the Spring container here. So you will find that this is just a normal Java object, nothing more than that, and no services are provided to this object. Okay, you don't have any services, special services for this object. It's just a normal Java object. So that means the dependencies are not injected. So product service won't get product repository bean. Product service bean, it won't get product repository bean. Yes. If it doesn't get that product repository bean, it's going to be an exception, right? You'll get null pointer exception. So the product service will be calling the method using null reference. That will be the problem. So let's see. I'll run this code. This is what happens. So container is not managing this beans. Okay. It doesn't provide the dependency injection service also. Yes. Okay. I hope you people got it. Now let's try to understand the advantages of dependency injection. So one of the advantages, okay, not only loose coupling, but you see it helps us to develop the beans which are highly cohesive. I can say it helps us to develop the beans which are highly cohesive. What do I mean by that? When I say the beans are highly cohesive, what does that mean? When I say beans are highly cohesive, what does that mean? Cohesive. You will hear this term also a lot. Means single bean, single responsibility. So bean should have a well-defined responsibility. Then we can say bean is highly cohesive. The object is highly cohesive. So objects, it is highly recommended that they have a single responsibility, not multiple responsibilities. Okay. For example, you take this product service. So what is the responsibility of the product service? What you understood? Yes. In a single line, can you people tell me what is the responsibility of the product service? What it is supposed to do?
Fetch the product and then update the quantity.
Yeah, means it has to handle this order processing, right? That is the responsibility I can say in short, right? It has to process the order. Order processing is the responsibility of this product service. So that is the responsibility of the product service, process the order. Now you know what? Here, this being, it should not be responsible for managing the dependencies, acquiring the dependencies, all such things. Okay, these are not. It should these responsibilities should not be part of the product service. Product service should purely handle this business logic. That's it. That is the functionality of it. Okay, so the dependencies which are needed, you see, it should not be, it should not manage them. That is not the responsibility of this product service. So the underlying platform, okay, so they should be providing the services of dependencies to this product service. Okay, so this way you can make the beans highly cohesive. You see, even for the developers who are developing these beans, now it is easy for them, right? because they can just concentrate on implementing the business logic rather than worrying about acquiring the dependencies, managing the dependencies, right? Yes, as of now, we just got a very simple dependency here, but you'll find that you may have some complicated dependencies also going forward. So, which you need to manage. So, you have to acquire them. Once you're done using them, also managing those dependencies also will be one of the important responsibilities. Here, you don't have to do that. Yes. So, I hope you people got it. And you see, the dependency injection concept, which is in Spring Framework, you see, it will manage those dependencies, right? Yeah. So, another advantage of dependency injection, as we have discussed, it is developing the beans which are loosely coupled. How can we say the beans are loosely coupled? Let's see. Now, the dependent bean product service, how it is loosely coupled with this dependency product service, let's say. Have you noticed it? Now, we don't have any implementation class details. The dependency class implementation details are not there here in this product service. So that means product service is unaware of that dependency bean implementation class details. So that bean will be dynamically injected at runtime by the container. It gets that dependency bean reference dynamically at runtime. So this is a very flexible option to, this very flexible, right? So this is how we make the beans loosely coupled. You know what? Now we can ask the container to to use a different dependency to change the dependency also. Okay? Yes. For example, let's say as of now this product service is using this product repository. Okay, the product repository internally it uses plain JDBC to interact with the database. Let's say you see the product repository it implements that interface. So whose object reference you can store it in that interface reference variable, right? Yes. So now let's say our clients they want us to use Hibernate framework instead in place of JDBC. Our clients they want us to use Hibernate framework instead of plain JDBC. So what you will do in that case? So in that case, you will define another bean, and you will make that bean class also implements this interface itself. Okay. Yes, I have that bean. I'll show you. I have another bean. So that bean class also implements the same interface, but internally it uses Hibernate framework, let's say, to interact with the database. So say I'm adding that bean here, product repository bean, let's say. Okay, have you noticed it? Actually, I'm using another annotation. I'll tell you just a minute. Just a minute. Here, let me implement that method the same way. You have to implement the method. Okay. Now you see, this product repository also implements that interface. Just a second, please. The product repository heap also implements the same interface. iProduct repository. So that means we can also store this product repository bean object reference in this reference variable. Yes, it is possible we can do that. Yes, it is possible. Okay. Now this is the new bean. Let's say you have developed as per the client's requirement, and now you want your product service to use this new bean. You want your product service to use this new bean. So what you will do? Yes, you got the point, right? I want this product service to use that new product repository, I product repository heap. Okay, changing the dependency now. What to do? Without touching that product service class, without modifying the product service class, so it is definitely possible to change the dependency which is used by the product service. Yes. How? Now this time what I will do is, we have registered this bean, right? I will deregister it or unregister it. I'm sorry, the right word I'm not sure. So I'm not registering it. Now this, I'll comment this annotation repository. Have you noticed this repository notation here? Have you noticed it? It is also same as component annotation. I'm actually configuring this repository annotation on top of this repository classes. Actually, the beans which are responsible to interact with the database server, or data source, I can say. On top of those beans, you can add this annotation. Okay, the beans in which you have data access code, I can say, in other words, the beans in which you got the data access code, those beans you can annotate them with this repository annotation. So that means it indicates that these beans are responsible for interacting with the data source, and they contain the code to interact with the data source. That's it. So just to classify the beans, you got this annotation. That's it. And similarly, you have another annotation, service annotation, which I'm using on top of that product service class. So the beans which contains this business logic, the beans in which you got the business logic, you can annotate those beans with service annotation. Okay, the beans which are responsible to handle business logic, business flow, you can annotate them with service annotation. That's it. Okay, I hope you got it. Now what I did now, I've commented this repository annotation here. That means the container, will it identify this product repository as a bean and will it manage this bean? The container will ignore this bean class. In fact, the container will be unaware of the existence of this bean. This is not a bean class anymore actually. It's just a normal Java class and container is not bothered about it. Okay? Yes. I hope you people got it, all of you. Yes. Is it clear? So now we have only one bean. What is it? The other bean. Product repository, product repository heap. That's it. This is the only bean which is available. So now the container, what it does, so it will check for the bean which implements this interface. Now we have how many beans which implements that interface here? Yes, we got how many beans which implements that interface? Only one bean of that particular type, I can say. Oh, sorry, we have only one bean of that particular type. Got it? Yes. Now this time, product service will be using this new bean, which bean product repository heap. You see, did we change anything here in the product service? No. The dependent bean, I didn't change anything. But without making any changes to the dependent bean, we are able to change the dependency. Yes, that is possible. Oh, sorry. Um, in the test order class, I'm directly instantiating the bean class, right? Yeah, I have to avoid this. Get that bean reference from the container itself. So that container will manage that bean for you people. It will inject the dependencies required that bean for that bean. Yes. So is it clear for everyone what we did here? So now we have developed the beans which are loosely coupled. The first example which we saw, now we can compare it with this example. So there the reference variables were types for class types. Now by introducing interface, we are able to make the beans loosely coupled. Yes. Yeah. Can I have yes, please? Are you people clear what we did here? I'll bug you people because I just want to ensure that you're comfortable. You understood this concept. Yeah. Now I hope you'll find some difference between using Spring Framework and without using Spring Framework. If you develop the applications, what makes the difference? Okay, fine. So we have a lot of other things to discuss, but first thing you have to understand dependency injection. That is a major concept, I can say. Okay, good. So I'll stop it here today. Let's meet tomorrow and we'll continue our discussion. Yes. So we have a class tomorrow at the same time. Thank you all. Bye bye.